Today I'm showing you how I made this portable battery box in one afternoon with no complicated real wiring. This is an absolute beginner guide to making a power box in the most simple way possible that I really believe anyone can do. It has a battery charger, an inverter, a cigarette lighter socket, 2 USB ports, a USB-C port, and with the EcoFlow 12-volt lithium iron phosphate battery, it has 1,200 watt-hours of charging. This power station box is completely customizable to your needs, and hence the price is also very customizable. The way I made my box with 10 amps of charging, a 300-watt inverter, and a 4-socket outlet cost me $136.56, plus $250 for the 100 amp-hour EcoFlow battery. So this project in total cost me $386. But that is a totally customizable price. My goal in this video is to also teach you how to know what amount of power you need and how to find that device pre-wired so you don't have to learn any wiring skills. My whole system fits into this compact box and can be charged from any wall outlet. It powers my laptop, a fan, my projector, and most importantly, this mini fridge we wanted to install in my mom's car for soccer games and hiking. And one final note before we jump into this build, in case I can make your project a little bit easier and only cost $10. I want to show you this because the original project I was going to do was just installing the fridge in my mom's car. And if you don't want to make a power station box, you don't have to. You could still get this cheaper battery instead of a power station. And you could just get this like $15 wire from Amazon. It came with a fuse. It already had the ring terminals on it so we could hook right up to the battery, and it came with a car plug. So I could plug the fridge right into this. It uses DC, so it's not an inverter, it's not pulling extra power. And yeah, it's super simple. This was a literal like 2-minute install. So if you're just looking to install a fridge and think you have to do a whole power box, you don't. You can just literally buy this wire. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. But if you don't want to do that and you want to be super cool and make a super cool power box with me, keep watching. Let's get started. So the first step in this project was picking out my components and my box or case. Most people buy these Harbor Freight type toolboxes that are often made from high impact resin or plastic, and the cheapest I could find that would fit everything I wanted was about $50. You absolutely can get these pretty small though if you plan on having smaller components, but I don't. But yeah, I also kind of think they're a little bit ugly and overpriced and made from a highly flammable cheap material. Also, I will admit I am just super artsy and wanted to make it look less boring, but I own a lot of scrap wood and some extra flame retardant paint, and 1x2s are only $3 at Lowe's right now. Plus, it was really important to me that I wanted to practice making boxes for my actual van build because I can make some ugly boxes, which, yeah, you will unfortunately see today, so I knew I could use the practice. So that is how I ended up deciding to make a box for this build. Do you want to see my purse? Yep. Hear me out, hear me out. Vogue, fashion. Do you see it? Do you see the vision? My next step was picking out and buying all my components I would need in my DIY power box, starting with my 12-volt EcoFlow 100 amp-hour battery. Once you have a battery, you're probably going to want a way to charge it. So I bought this 12-volt battery charger. It's important to make sure it charges your type of battery cell. So this one you can see says 𝗨𝗏4, which is what my EcoFlow battery is. I also like that it came with this plug in the wires, so I don't have to take off the ring terminals to disconnect the charger from the battery. And also, it already includes a fuse. So I don't have to add one or wire one myself, but it will keep the battery and the device safe. And finally, it comes with ring terminals already wired on the end of the wire for the positive and negative wires. These come in a wide variety of sizes. The more amps, the faster it charges at. This one I got charges at 10 amps, which is why it's more expensive at $70, but you can get a 2 amp charger for about $40. Just know that the less amps, the longer it will take to charge. Next, I decided I wanted an inverter, which if you're unfamiliar with the term, to put it the simplest way possible, just means I wanted a way to charge or power things with a regular plug-in wall outlet. This one powers 300 watts, but they come in a wide array of sizes. I knew the biggest thing I needed to power off the inverter is a 96-watt water kettle or 100-watt heated lunchbox. So this was more than enough for me, and I could have easily gone for this 150-watt inverter that is only $13, and these come with a pre-installed cigarette lighter plug, so again, no real wiring will be needed here, and it's easy to disconnect from the system. Next is the USB socket panel. You can get more or less of the options I have on my panel. Mine was $12 for the on and off switch, the 3 USBs, the cigarette lighter port, and the voltmeter. But you could get a single socket for about $5 or install double what I did. I recommend if you're not wanting to do your own wiring to make sure to get a kit that is pre-wired like mine. But if you're feeling adventurous and want to do some real wiring to level up your system, I also bought this cheap battery monitor, but it will need ring terminals crimped on the end. I couldn't find a pre-wired monitor like this, but if you wanted something without wiring, you can use the voltmeter on the USB socket panel to get some information about your battery, or just plug in the battery charger in to tell you how much life is left in your battery. Also, if you plan on having big systems in an enclosed box like the Harbor Freight boxes, adding a fan like this would be important so your components can breathe and not overheat. These are just USB fans, so you can either just plug them in or you could cut and wire them into your system. You even could wire up this temperature sensor if you're feeling really crazy, but we won't do that in this video since I'm trying to make this a no wiring power box. However, if you do want to see me do that, I will be doing that in my actual van build. And the final, most important piece in this whole system is the actual battery. EcoFlow's new 100 amp hour 12-volt LiFePO4 battery is obviously really key to this system. This battery has 1,280 watt-hour battery capacity, and it can reach peak discharge current of 300 amps at 30 seconds. It has 3 expansion connection methods and is expandable up to 48 volts. It costs 3 cents per kilowatt hour and can support up to 8 parallel connections, 4 series connections, or a combo of 4 series and 4 parallel connections. Let's install this thing, shall we? The EcoFlow 100 amp hour battery supports solar, generator, and grid charging methods, and sports a 100 amp hour battery monitoring system and an industry-first cell-to-chassis process, which provides higher strength and drop resistance. It weighs 24.7 pounds and is IP65 water-rated and has top-grade 𝗚𝗡𝗋𝗋 fire-resistant casing. It has a 100 amp hour battery monitoring system with an XGuard algorithm that can monitor and protect against a low temperature, high discharge, overcharge, high temperature, short circuit, and overcurrent, which will absolutely give you a sense of safety in your backup systems. It has a lifespan longer than any of my portable battery stations at 6,000 charging and discharging cycles at 80% depth of discharge, which means I'll be able to get over 10 years of daily use from this. So if you're interested in learning more about this, check out the link in my description for more information, and I am so excited to show you guys this battery in action today on this project. So let's talk about how I'm making this box I'll house all of my components in. I started by writing down all of my system's components and their dimensions, then tried to find a way to make a box that would fit all of those in the most compact way possible, while still letting the components be installed safely and letting them breathe. That's why I chose to add this rattan material to the front instead of making it wood all the way around. My plan was to do that on all 3 sides of the box, but it's very expensive, and apparently I only ordered enough for one side, but that's fine. I really wanted to practice using the material since it's what I'll be using in my van cabinets. I also wanted to practice using this fake lime wash painting technique with these sample colors from Home Depot because I was thinking of using it for my van walls, but I think it may be too dark, and it was actually more pink than I expected for a color called sand. So I'm not sure how I feel about it, but what do you guys think? If I painted my ceiling and walls this color in my camper van, do you think it would look good? I don't know. Alright, so there you have it, a completed box. I did not do a step-by-step tutorial on how to make the box because I suck at making boxes. They always come out with a gap somewhere or crooked, and that's why I wanted to practice on this project. Our first step is to place in the EcoFlow battery, and I purposely did not make the box the exact size of the battery. This was so it wouldn't be an impossible task to get it in and out. But then I added this foam I had from an Amazon package just to make it fit snug so it wouldn't move around when it's in the car going down the road. Then I removed the purse strap just so it wouldn't be in the way, and then regretted not adding something to these other walls when I realized I ran out of the rattan, because now the wires are just exposed, and I just didn't like that, so that didn't even feel safe, even though it definitely made it more ventilated. So we'll work on that in a minute, but now we're working on the shelf for the components to sit on above the battery, and I'm just using some L brackets and screwing them on. But I do wish I would have done this and attached the L brackets before putting the box fully together because it was very difficult to get the screwdriver into the box. And I ended up using the wood inserts that I made to cover the holes to get them in there. But thankfully, in the end, it all fit in perfectly, and now it's time to arrange the components. I was originally planning on screwing these down or using like VHB tape to make them stay in place, but in the end, I decided I actually like that they could be easily removed or moved around or taken out of the box. I think it adds adds to the versatility of the project. I also added a handle to the shelf to make it easy to remove, and I regretted not having two of these, one for each side, so I actually ordered a second handle to put on the opposite side, but for now we'll work with just the one. Now it's time to install the USB socket panel. I ordered a step-down drill bit from Amazon for $5 because the cheapest one I could find at Lowe's was $45, but it was delayed by numerous days. But it would have been a much more clean and polished way to do this, but what you're witnessing right now is me at 1 a.m. in my basement, just yeeting my jigsaw into the wood and making a total mess without caring, figuring the panel would cover up the mess. Yeah, spoiler alert, it does not cover the wood that I ripped all over the place, so that's super embarrassing. Let's just both pretend like you can't see it. And at the end of the video, I'll just cover it up with some Cricut vinyl and call it a day. And yeah, I definitely should have used that tape method to stop the wood from ripping, or actually even better, have just cut the socket hole back when I was building the box and it was just a single piece of wood and not standing up and down with the battery in it as it is right now, but you know, there's just a lot of lessons to be learned here today. Now it's time to install the socket panels, starting by inserting the different components into the panel. This can be done in any order you'd like. My thought with how I ordered mine was that I didn't want the cigarette lighter cord to block the view or usage of any other outlets, since that's where the fridge will be primarily plugged into, and it can be a somewhat big cord. And then all I had to do was screw on the back. If you look closely on the back of each of these, you can see a plus and minus sign. The plus is the positive or red wire, and the minus sign is the negative or black wire. This set I bought also shows you the difference by coloring the positive poles silver and the negative poles gold. The instructions also walk you through all of this very clearly and easily. If you're starting to get scared, please don't. This is a very easy project. So first, let's grab the positive red wire that is daisy chained like this, and then find the smallest spade crimp terminal and place it on one of the two positive poles on the one with 3 poles. Then you're just going to daisy chain the positive wire terminals to each positive pole on the other installed components. Then, using the other included red wire, attach that to the second positive terminal on the first component. Then let's move on to the negative wire, starting with the littlest spade crimp terminal again and attaching it to the component that has 3 poles. Then daisy chaining the other terminals along on only the negative poles with a negative sign next to them that are colored gold. And now you are left with just 2 wires that end in ring terminals. And the positive wire has a fuse already built in, which is great because every single load you install on a battery should have a fuse. Now I am just feeding that wire through the hole in my box and screwing in the socket panel. Then I'm reinstalling the shelf I made and placing the battery charger down so I can make a hole for the wires that also end in ring terminals to be able to feed down and then later be installed on the EcoFlow battery. My step-down drill bit would have also been great for this, but instead I'm again just yeeting and sawing the edges of this board with a regular drill bit because I pay Amazon for 2-day shipping and that lately has become 4-day shipping, so that's fun. Anyway, so now all the components have a home and it's time to put the wires on the battery and get some power to them. First, I disconnected the battery charger from the rest of its wire, then I unscrewed the red positive terminal post cap because I was taught to always attach the positive first and then negative to reduce the likelihood of sparks. Then I slid on the 2 positive ring terminals. Then I repeated the same process for the black negative ring terminals. It is possible that your posts may be bigger than your ring terminal depending on what kind of kits you get. This would suck and make this project harder. Here is my debate question for the comment section. So I have seen 2 fixes for this, and I have seen mixed reactions and opinions on both. But I think, personally, that they're okay, but I want some more opinions on this one because obviously I don't want to just say stuff on the internet, especially when it comes to electrical things. So I have seen people cut off the ends of ring terminals and stretch them out with pliers to make them into spade terminals so they fit onto larger posts. And I have also seen people drill out the hole to make it bigger so it slides around the larger post. In my opinion, if I was installing my own terminals on the wire, I could have just picked terminals that looked like any of those options from my set of pre-made terminals, but I have seen some people in comment sections hate on that, and they would have worked just fine. So why is me modifying it any different? In the end, I will say I actually went back and chopped off the 2 ring terminals from the socket panel because they just looked cheaper and less professional, and I have so many sets and I do know how to wire, so I just figured why not make it better if I can, but that was just a preference. Alright, now we have power, so the last thing I want to do is test this out and install it in my mom's car. So this is the fridge I'll be installing in her car. It's the 𝗣𝗆 RV Colorful Edition fridge that has been in so many of my videos because I lived off of it in Vegas for 7 months in my camper van. It has an eco mode, so it can go pretty efficient, and I know because I literally lived off of it and only it. But also I wanted to upgrade this, so I got her the 𝗣𝗆 RV fridge cover because she has windows in her car, so the sun can be directly beating down on the fridge, unlike in my camper van, and that can be really bad for efficiency. So this will hopefully help regulate temperature a lot. I really want to do a video comparing and testing ways to insulate a fridge using different materials, including fridge covers, reflectix, foam board, etc. But to be honest, I'm not sure completely how to do that, or if that's even a good video idea, if people would be interested in that. So if you guys have any ideas for that video concept, I'd love to hear your ideas. In my new van build, I have a heated floor, so insulating my fridge well is a really big deal. Anyway, she also has the cigarette lighter plug in the side of her car, which I told her I recommend she actually plugs the fridge into on long drives to conserve the EcoFlow's battery. This way it can last longer. But I also recommend, if she hasn't used the fridge recently, to charge it in the house or off the extension cord in the garage first, since the initial startup to the fridge from room temperature to cold is the biggest power draw. So when I designed this box, I also left this gap here for cords so we could close the box and the wires wouldn't stop the lid and it would all still look really neat and clean. But I think when we charge using the battery charger, we're going to actually leave the lid open for extra ventilation, just because this is actually an off-brand battery charger that has a history of getting pretty hot. I'm not sure how I feel about it. But honestly, all battery chargers will get pretty hot, so it's just really important to give them good ventilation. But yeah, design-wise, I'm really happy with it. She can back right into the driveway and plug this into charge. Now I'm testing out the inverter, and all I have to do is plug this into the cigarette lighter outlet on the USB socket. But I will say this method does mean that it now makes the inverter the max wattage of whatever the cigarette lighter is. So my USB socket panel has a cigarette lighter port with 150 watts. So even though the inverter I bought is 300 watts, I can't use all of that. But if her car cigarette lighter is 300 watts or higher, then I can plug this into her car and use all 300 watts. But again, everything we plan to use maxes out at like 100 watts, so this isn't a problem for her. Also, I cheaped out and bought a modified sine wave inverter, not a pure sine wave inverter, which means it's not recommended to be used on delicate charging devices like laptops or iPads, but it is fine for things like the water kettle or hot lunchbox. And this was not a problem for our install, since iPads and iPhones can be charged by USB and USB-C with the socket panel, which has both. So she's still able to charge those things, just going to need to use a different port. And then I got to show my mom the final results and teach her how it all works, which she was very excited and talking about trying it out for camping or a soccer game to have cold drinks or better, healthier food options. So I will definitely report back with how this project goes long term. All right, so that's it. That is the entire install. It was pretty simple. Obviously not as simple as just clicking buy on a power station, but it definitely is more cost and budget friendly. It definitely is more customizable. If anything breaks, I'll be able to easily fix it and just pull one thing out instead of having to call customer service and figure out different things. But yeah, that's about it. That sums up our project for today. And thank you again to EcoFlow. If you want to learn more about the EcoFlow 100 amp hour battery, I'll leave the links in the description. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.
The power station or about the power station?
I'm talking to the power station. I don't have money for therapy. Love you.